Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Nuggy Guys podcast. I'm your host, Sid, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Pat and Doug.
So, Pat wanted to share the story for today. It's a fun little alien story, I guess. So, Pat, how about you get us into this timeline of terror?
So, I'm talking about today is the famous Peruvian face peelers that really took off in May of 2023 when these Iquitu hunters, I probably mispronounced the name of that tribe because I never lived with them in Peru. They spot these tall, hooded, armored figures in the jungles where they live. They live way back in the middle of nowhere. And they sort of associate them with local legends about the face peelers, which are sort of like the boogeymen in that region of the world. You know, something that you terrify your kids with, like come home by dark or the face peelers will get you. That sort of thing. But really what caught my attention on this story was in July 11 of 2023, Talia, a 15-year-old girl, was attacked by two of these face peelers, survives the attack, and people upload footage to the internet of the scars on her neck and sort of telling her story. And that prompts Timothy Alberino, the rogue archaeologist, as he likes to call himself. He's not technically an archaeologist, by the way. He doesn't have a degree in that. But he had lived for a long time with these tribes down in Peru. And when he was 18, he ran off to go live in the middle of nowhere in Peru. So he's quite the interesting guy. And so he heads back there. He's like, well, these are my people. And there's these weird stories of alien attacks on these people because Talia was not the first person attacked. There was multiple people attacked, but she was just like the one who actually survived, came back, had scars, whatever. So he was like, well, I'm headed down there. So he and ex-Marine buddy head down there, meet up with these people, and he does a lot of interviewing, videoing. He took down night vision equipment, radios, whatever. Try to get these people a little better equipped for whatever they're dealing with. They weren't sure what was happening. There was also footage surfacing at the time of one of these beings supposedly being like up on top of a shed roof. It's very, again, blurry footage and sort of like the flashlight sweeps across it. It's nighttime and you see the being and then it sweeps back and it hovers on it for a little bit, but could be a humanoid being. It's a little hard to tell from that video. Anyway, so they were investigating all these things. And recently I was listening to Timothy Alberino talk about that experience, and I thought it'd be very interesting to present a little bit on this because most famous alien attacks are far in the past, and these attacks are supposedly going up until August of 2025 with some of the last rumored incidents. I can't really track down good video evidence of them happening the whole way into 2025, but this is a very recent thing.
So I've got a question on this. You're saying Timothy Alberino is probably the main researcher behind all this data, or where's all this documentation coming from?
He just happens to be the main one that I listen to on this because he's there. He was there. He knows the dialect. He went and captured a lot of footage, talked to a lot of people who supposedly had ran into these aliens. But no, before he got down there, these tribes were calling on the Peruvian government, the Navy, being like, "Hey, someone come help us out. We're being attacked almost every night. Well, maybe not every night, but some villages being attacked almost every night. People are disappearing. Like, we can't live in terror forever." Help us out, defend us, like, what can you do? And the government simply sent two police officers to go talk to Talia after she was attacked, and they were there for about a day, is from what I can tell, and then they left and said that clearly she was assaulted by two illegal gold miners flying on jetpacks, because that is definitely what happened.
Highly probable.
So, and on the timing of this, Timothy Alberino started investigating after the official investigation happened because he wasn't satisfied with the official investigation.
Yeah, he thought that sounded sort of wild. And also because it was an ongoing thing. Like, sure, the police officers arrive and interview this one person who was supposedly attacked, but if the attacks keep happening, then he was like, okay, I gotta go down there and see what's going on. And also people, and to your point, Sid, about like, what was he the main resource? No. I mean, the villagers were the ones uploading the footage of these supposed aliens. Like, he didn't have anything to do with that.
Okay, so
like, when he was down there, he didn't capture any footage of these aliens because that tribe said they hadn't been attacked in maybe a couple weeks or something. And so he didn't see any in, like, the 3 nights he was down there. But that is the thing. I should describe these supposed beings, aliens, people, illegal gold miners on jetpacks, whatever. Not really sure what to call them yet. Let me describe them. They're pretty much always described as 7 feet tall, roughly. Like, taller than 6 feet, taller than your average white person, because these guys are all pretty short, these villagers. They're inhumanly agile. One villager claimed that she had one jump over her house when she confronted or saw it, and it literally just hopped over her house, which, I don't know. They always attack in pairs. They never spot a single one all by itself. There's always two. They have discs on their feet, which leave large circular tracks. And these tracks are supposedly roughly 17 inches in diameter.
Okay.
So like these are pretty big tracks supposedly. They often surf through the air on some type of quiet hoverboards which are faster than their regular footwear, even though they can hover with just their regular footwear. And they sometimes deploy from sort of acorn-shaped, triangular-shaped ships, like motherships. They wear black body armor and hard backpacks with elongated helmets and yellow shining eyes, which is theorized to be some type of night vision because they're always doing this at night. So that's pretty well what they're described as looking like, and that is across the board. I haven't really been able to find anything that differed with that. All the different villagers agree on this.
So how well documented is this, or like what's the reasons to believe or whatever? Like apparently there's decent documentation. It's funny how now that everybody carries a great camera in their pocket that all these mysterious blurry UFO videos don't show up the way they used to, and we don't see UFOs as much as we used to now that everybody has good cameras.
We see plenty of UFO footage. You just have to look for it, and plenty of it is these days. You can dismiss everything as AI.
Yes and no.
But
I mean, I believe there's ways to calculate if things.
That's a separate point.
But I feel like the footage, or like even Bigfoot, I don't feel like you hear as much about it. But maybe that's not true. I haven't specifically looked.
It just depends what parts of the internet you spend time on. Honestly, there's
a lot of things in life depend on that.
Exactly. That's the problem. But that's not really related. But there's like most of the villagers have an eyewitness account to this. Apparently.
Yes.
Okay.
I saw footage of him talking up to groups of 20 dudes at once, and they all seemed to have something to say about him. He had like whiteboard up, okay, now draw me their alien spaceship, whatever it was. What do these dudes look like? What's happening? And
are most of these people part of the Ikatu group of hunters or a different?
Yes, it's all roughly as I can tell, the same. I don't really understand how their tribes work, but it seemed to be all the same tribe, bloodline, whatever, because it's in a very localized region. So that's another point I should make about these hunters. They are armed with shotguns. 16 gauge shotgun is like their weapon of choice, which are absolute pieces of trash. I was looking at the videos of them. They're single shot. You single shot, break action, rusted to pieces. The break action, some of them were worked by a wire, like the thumb tang had come off. So it's not like they're completely defenseless, but it's interesting that these attacks aren't occurring in any other towns that actually have deployments of National Guard units or people with actual rifles that would be maybe more damaging than just 16 gauge shotguns.
Put some rocks in it.
Well, okay, so that's something they were doing. So they pretty much have birdshot is what this ex-Marine who was along with Timothy was saying. They pretty much have birdshot. But they'll melt down the lead and make it into sort of slugs or larger shot because they weren't really sure this was working. The chief of one of the villages claims to have shot one of these beings twice and just done nothing. One time they said they shot one and it fell over, but it didn't make any noise or anything, and it just got back up and ran off. They say they can hear the pellets pinging off the armor. They're confident they've hit these things and nothing seems to happen.
Well, 16 gauges don't do a lot against body armor besides make whoever's wearing it pretty sore. That would be my expectation.
Well, and I couldn't tell. Some of the guns actually look like maybe 12 gauge or 20 gauge. Or some of them looked a little bigger than 16 gauge.
But punch through
but it didn't really
any
matter.
level 3 or whatever armor.
I'm going to sort of go into Talia's story because she has one of the most well-documented and sort of viral stories. So she was this 15-year-old, and it was just nightfall. It was just dusk, and she was picking fruit off a tree not very far from her house, from from what I could tell from what she was saying. And she was like, she knocked the fruit off the tree with a long stick, and she was bending over, picking up the fruits off the ground, when she noticed like a gust of air coming from behind her, and she's like, well, what's happening? And two of these guys step off their hoverboard and grab her. One grabs her like by the, like sort of covers her mouth, one sort of grabs her legs, and they drag her behind a shed nearby. And one of them pulls out some substance and puts it in a syringe and injects it up her nose. At which point she says she starts losing consciousness. Like that was some drug, some type of something like that. Then they proceed to rub a cream on her face to numb it, and then they pull out some type of electronic-ish laser scalpel something. Now I don't really know what Talia knows of laser scalpels or anything, but that's sort of how she describes it. At least that's how the translation of what she's saying describes it. I cannot speak Spanish at all. And they make 2 incisions on her throat/neck, and I've seen the footage of it after the whole attack is over, and she's like, they have her like on a cot or something. She's still unconscious. You can see it's like 2 lines like right here. And they're very neat, very clean lines. The 2 attackers are speaking Spanish, one with an accent and one without. So one is speaking like the local dialect of Spanish, supposedly. And the one of them remarks something about not rubbing too much of this numbing cream on her face because it's going to damage the skin, or maybe damage the flesh, or maybe make the flesh come off with the skin. It was a little vague to me what she's trying to say there. Talia, who is losing consciousness at this point, manages to reach up and sort of grab underneath the one's helmet that's holding her. And the other one slaps her when she does that, but he has to let go to do that. And just about that time, her brother or father, again, couldn't quite figure out what family member this was, and another person or two come around the corner of the shed and see that, hey, something's going on. And they have flashlights, and they're shining, they're yelling, and so they drop her. The one says, let's go. They drop her, and they hop on their hoverboard. And she mentioned a detail that I didn't see anywhere else in any of the other testimonies of the villagers. She claims that they had to punch a button on their ankle to attach to their hoverboard. That like they stood on it, punched a button, and then it like
locked them
turned on magnets or something. I don't know what, like think like that. Like then it locked them in.
Although she's supposed to be losing consciousness at this point.
She's supposed to be losing consciousness. It's a little bit like they shot her up with something. We don't know what. So you can take it or leave it. I'm not really sure how much to trust this testimony. And then they go to a spot in the jungle where there's a hole in the canopy, and they fly up and out and away. And she's unconscious for some time after that. I couldn't really figure out how long she's unconscious because there's video of her being unconscious, but she eventually wakes up. They take her downriver for medical attention, and she's diagnosed with PTSD, but the lacerations on her neck are fine. They weren't really that deep. And that's pretty well, I would say, the most viral account of an encounter with these. I should point out that another, I think it's a few months later, I don't know if I have this one written down here, a young boy is attacked and survives, but he makes off way worse. His face is way more cut up, and I wasn't able to find like an account by him of what happened. So I don't have that included here. Also, the shaman of the one village, in August of 2023, he encounters one of these beings while he's performing some ritual. I couldn't really tell what time of day it was because it almost sounded like morning, but they say they never see them in the daylight. So maybe this was early morning, unless maybe it was just happening at night, and the timing was sort of weird. And he's attacked by it, he's burned by it, and he also claims that the being spoke to him telepathically and told him to quit messing around with them, like leave them alone. They got to get out of here. I would say those are probably like the top 3 encounters I saw with them. Do you have any questions now or anything to add?
So what's the going theory on what these are by the locals or by experts or conspiracy theorists? Or
the locals
are we saying these are like the elites abducting people or abducting faces for their rituals, or what's the conspiracy theory behind this as to what they're actually trying to do?
So the locals seem pretty well split between aliens versus which is what the village chief who shot one twice claims. He's pretty sure they're extraterrestrials. And gringos, like some secret U.S. military operation, something like they very much so. Now it's also, it may be because the whole like old face peelers legend was always sort of closely associated with gringos, like some foreigners coming to get you in the forest at night. So they're pretty well split between extraterrestrials and gringos. So who knows what the U.S. government's up to in the jungles of Peru?
I mean, it could be really any government.
Well, they always assume it's the U.S. government, and there's reason for that.
Jeffrey
Again, like I said,
Epstein,
the official story is that it's illegal mining operators because there's gold in the region, supposedly. I don't think there's that much gold in Peru, but apparently there is. And they're on jetpacks flying around trying to terrorize villagers, push them off their land. That's the official story. Some other people think it's cartels, just because the cartels are famous for doing all kinds of horrible things to their victims just because they can.
Okay,
That
so
sounds more probable.
first off, whether it's cartels or miners, and they're just trying to terrorize people. First off, why the advanced hoverboard tech of some sort? And second, why this weird operation? Like it seems to be a medical operation of some sort, right? They're knocking her out and they're numbing her face and they're using the scalpel. Like that's not a terror. Like if they were trying to terrorize the villagers, couldn't they just come in with machetes or something and chop some people up? Like there's this seems like a very like medical or like
occult
surgical procedure.
And I will say, I wasn't able to find really any uncensored footage of it because the internet. But there also bodies do turn up with just like their face skin removed,
really?
And I wasn't able to see very well because everybody censors it. I couldn't find uncensored footage very quickly of what that actually looks like. But yeah, supposedly
Telegram channel.
There's somewhere in Live League or someone's got the footage. I know. I just wasn't able to run across it.
My point being that
it is surgical.
Maybe
You're
it's
right.
a government. That's possible. Or either way, my theory is that it's connected with a ritual of some sort and it's something spiritual.
Occult.
Occult,
Yeah.
yes.
That's I would definitely lean that way. I don't really believe the alien theory.
Well,
I'm definitely not sold on that part.
I do like.
I mean, all of this is as internet conspiracy theories go.
Well, it's true, but you actually have footage of beings. Now, is it good footage? No. You actually have survivors of attacks, which they turn out mutilated in very oddly specific ways. And
you have tons of eyewitnesses.
Those
aren't worth
dozens,
nothing.
I would say somewhere between 50 and 100 eyewitnesses all across the region who claim that the same thing happens. They all describe these beings the same way, which is pretty unusual, I would say, actually.
So a cartel would be the group of people who might have the money, but they would need a motive, right?
Mm-hmm. And they don't really need that much of a motive because who knows, they want to clear a new route for drug smuggling, whatever. But
that's not an effective way to clear drug smuggling.
A surgical procedure on one person at a time is not how you terrorize the village. It's not how you
the cartels are way better with
the
the cartels are way better with terror than that usually. They usually do a way better job. Now, they would be one of the few groups who has access to tech that is on par with, like, the latest military tech.
Okay.
So you could argue, if we secretly have cool, fancy, completely quiet hoverboards, maybe not completely quiet. They say they make a slight whooshing sound as they first lift off.
Doesn't sound like a jetpack, though.
Yeah, but like a jetpack screams across the train. Like, if you've ever seen them, I don't think jetpacks make any sense. So I'm saying, if we happen to have some secretive technology, I don't know how the cartels would have got it, but they would have been some of the only people on Earth who could afford it. So to me, it's
well,
I'm arguing that I don't think the illegal miners have this tech.
I have questions about that just because the Russians don't even have good military tech.
Well, it's true.
I mean, there's some good military tech, but just look at the Russian-Ukrainian.
Yeah, but the cartels smuggle all their tech from us.
Yeah, there's a lot of dirty stuff going on there.
Like, they can get a hold of, like, the latest night vision and stuff. Now, I should mention
that's
this.
That's
is sort of
slightly less regulated than, like, secret weapons.
That's
Area
true.
51 type weapons or something.
And I don't really know why you would keep it secret if you had fancy, quiet, flying hoverboards. Like, we already have technology. We have, like, jetpacks, which yeah, they're not as good or efficiency, and they're louder, and so that's why I don't think these could be jetpacks. But like, it's not like a strategic weapon you're going to keep secret.
Right.
Unless it's got some super advanced
unless it's using
system. There
some
are
sort of
like a mercury vortex.
Yeah.
Or
I don't
anti-gravity or
something.
levitation
Right.
or something, which is...
Well, okay. So I did see
documented.
Timothy Alberino was theorizing.
Is it?
He's like,
Historically, this is a different episode, but the mercury vortex flying machines from like the
Okay,
Incas?
I've never
Was
heard
the
of
Aztecs?
that. That's...
it was some way back.
yeah, and
It was
there's
like
also
Indian
there's
tribes
also
or
a
something.
patent filed on it with the U.S. Patent Office on
I
how
see.
you use these like mercury vortex drives, and I'm just like, so someone out there filed this patent way back in the 80s. So they thought they could make it work.
There's
back
like
then.
ancient calligraphy, and I mean, what do you call it? Like all the stone writing and stuff about this.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a little off topic. Though I do want to say that supposedly, or what Timothy Alberino would hypothesize, and it sounds like a pretty good hypothesis, is that the hard backpacks are either some type of battery, I don't know, mini nuclear reactor. Like maybe they're like the energy source that fuels these lightning fast reflexes and ability to jump way high and ability to fly. on these
Robotic
things.
exoskeleton makes that relatively possible.
Yeah, but here's the
This
funny thing about
sounds fancier, but if
This
you
is
just
definitely
show up
fancier than
to
any
an
robotic
undeveloped
exoskeleton I've
tribe with a robotic exoskeleton and ask them to describe it, they're probably going to be saying some stuff about it that's a little larger than life.
That's
Particularly at night when you terrify them.
That's
It's still
true.
a very advanced robotic exoskeleton.
Yeah, it could be.
It's better than anything.
I'm just saying
I would
if
have
some
seen.
weird things go down in a superstitious tribe, the stories are always bigger than better than real life.
Maybe.
I mean, even here in the U.S.,
Whether-
that's kind of the case.
So the abilities they have that are superhuman are they can jump over a house. Allegedly, they jumped over a house and they travel on hoverboards.
And
Some
they're
sort of
7
hoverboard.
foot tall.
Yes.
And they're 7 foot tall.
I mean, that's
Those
not
are
superhuman,
all
that's
the.
just-
The main thing to me that I would say is here is 7 foot tall. Okay, yeah, but if you're wearing extra large footwear of some
Yeah.
type, and things like you
It's not
will
hard to get
definitely.
an extra.
It's not hard to be 7 feet tall. It's not hard to wear body armor.
Right.
And it is a little weird that you're wearing something that they all claim that they have shining eyes, like that they, like what kind of night vision? But I guess if you did see night vision, it would be sort of shiny.
Well,
To me, the main thing is that the ability to fly quietly is the weirdest thing,
Yeah.
and also like not wreck. The other thing is,
My point is, it's advanced tech. However you look
yes,
at it.
it's more advanced than anything we have. I would say
Yeah.
is arguable. That's
yeah,
arguably
it's
true.
not commercially available at this point.
And also the fact that they have these apparently drugs of some sort that they're knocking her out with and numbing her face with. Like,
Cartels can get that.
yes,
or-
yes, exactly. But
There's definitely
once again,
you
it's
wouldn't
like-
really
there's a
think
method to the madness.
You wouldn't really think cartel would go to the work and figure out exactly how much whatever drug you got to smear on someone's face to numb it so you can do this cool operation. Like, why wouldn't they just shoot you up till you're either dead or high or something? Like
Right.
so, and you said you never saw any good footage of the victims, but it's just the skin that they're removing from their face,
that's what they
more
say.
or less.
It's just the skin.
Did you search into like the religions that do that kind of thing
No, I haven't
and
looked
what they
into like
use
what,
those masks for or not? I mean,
No.
there was a serial
I-
killer. There was a serial killer who famously was making a bodysuit or something. Pretty sure
That was my thought.
And like there is, I feel like if you researched it, you might figure out what some probable religions are that might need that for a ritual or.
No, I didn't really go. I didn't really go to
behind
that
it.
side of it. To me, I just thought it was odd because like stealing faces doesn't seem that similar to like. To me, my head more went to like alien like cattle mutilations,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not the same thing. Like they're not trying to steal the cattle's faces. So, I don't know. To me, it was like the faces were odd, and everybody says they're just aiming for the faces. They're not interested in any other parts of the body. So.
And they apparently don't need to kill the people or want to kill the people or something.
Yeah, they don't really seem to care. And they're never heard to like scream or anything when they got shot. The other thing they do that these hunters do is they'll make these traps where they'll have a sort of like a mini shotgun set up that you trip the tripwire and it's supposed to shoot the game or whatever that trips the tripwire. And they're decently deadly because you can accidentally trigger them and then you get like a whole shot in your thigh, which they were setting them up at about like waist level to try to trip these aliens. They're like, okay, we're gonna catch these guys, And they say that they'll hear the traps go off in the night. They'll come back the next day. Yeah, the shell's been fired. The line's been triggered. But just nothing. Like, not an animal didn't do it because you would be able to see blood or fur or feathers. And they're pretty good at tracking down animals, supposedly, after they trip these traps. And, like, nothing. No clothing. No fragments of armor. Like, I don't know. These guys seem to be able to...
weapons. I'm not sold on the shotgun's destruction unless you're running some special shells or something.
Yeah, that's true. And I should say that even after, I mean, it's been like getting close to 3 years since they've had these night vision cameras now and stuff, and we haven't seen footage captured of these aliens yet. Now, so the attacks have also died off. Supposedly, some spots they still go on. I'm a little bit confused about how recently the attacks have occurred.
That's interesting. There's really no way to investigate unless you go there and can capture better footage or something. Catch one of these guys.
Well, my question is motive, because they aren't driving the villagers off their land. They didn't. Like, if that was their point, they completely failed at it. The guys are still there.
If they had that kind of tech, they would have driven them off. I mean, they would have killed them off.
Well, that's what you would think. If they just wanted the land, they would have just killed everybody and taken the land, because these people can't stop them.
Although that's kind of a bad idea, because then it's obvious who killed them all when the village is massacred and then there's other people there.
Well, okay, that's true. If they're trying to do this secretly, then sure.
But they're still not going to take 2 years to kill everybody off.
Yeah,
right.
Like,
I'm sure they would have been
not
much
working.
more effective.
But as far as motive, this is very wild. This is going to go down a deep rabbit hole. We can cut this if we want. But so in Skinwalker lore, to embody the animal that you want to, become, like Skinwalkers are part human, part animal, largely. And the witches and the wizards who practice this, they have to be wearing the skin of that animal, do their ritual, and then become the Skinwalker.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And so, what if there's a non-human entity stealing the skin of humans and then wearing it during their rituals to then embody that human?
Are we talking like Nephilim, or are we talking something else? Like aliens?
Little green men from Mars.
Look, I don't believe in extraterrestrial life.
I'm not sold. Yeah, I don't.
The alien sightings, stuff like this. Well, I don't know about this, but I don't believe in extraterrestrial life. But I believe in spiritual entities.
Right.
And so, I don't know. Maybe it's some sort of reverse Skinwalker thing. But that's wild. I have no idea. I haven't researched
I don't feel like that's necessary. But maybe.
I will say that if there were extraterrestrials that wanted to like blend in with humanity or something, I mean, stealing their faces and trying to figure out how to look like a human is a good way to start.
No, just steal the whole body, though.
Well, then, but yeah, arguably yes.
Arguably,
arguably there's no point in just stealing just the face. But I'm saying that like the faces would be one of the hardest things to reproduce about a human.
Yeah, it's just the concept of wearing the skin of another being in order to like embody that being or whatever.
Sure. I don't know. I feel like there's just a lot of occult religions that would do that.
Well, but we haven't seen this repeating pattern of stealing the skin and specifically the face. Like it's always the blood or like
the heart or something.
Okay, well here's another theory. So the CIA has been known to do. They pulled the whole like vampire thing. In which country was it? They eventually did it in Vietnam too, I think. Where the CIA would take bodies of killed enemy soldiers or whatever, and then drain them of blood and try to like start the rumor that vampires were loose in this area or whatever. Like they're trying to do like mass terror tactics supposedly. I actually haven't delved too far into what all countries they did this in supposedly. So some people are like, oh well, this sounds similar. The CIA is doing something in Peru. They're like, we gotta play into the local legends of the face peelers. So that we can accomplish something.
Or is it just a social experiment?
Well, it's true that around this time, the U.S. was running a big joint operation with Peru. And some people find it suspect that the Space Force was involved in this joint operation. I think that's normal. Everybody needs Wi-Fi. Welcome to the Space Force. And so some people would take it that way, and they say, okay, the U.S. is running some spooky joint operation with the Peruvians. For some reason, we got to bring the U.S. Space Force into this. So are they hanging out with the aliens? Are they summoning the aliens? Are they just pretending to be the aliens to keep all the Peruvian locals away? Like, don't mess with us. But then you got to believe the U.S. has this technology and that it'd just be in their best interest to go around and surgically remove people's faces.
Yeah, so I don't know that it's a stretch to say that the CIA would have access to this technology.
It's not too much of a stress. I will admit that this is technology beyond what humanity produces right now that I know of, but not like insanely
not like
beyond.
Commercially.
Like it could be.
Technology.
But that's actually one of the most compelling theories so far, at least if as far as a human culprit.
Yeah, and
everybody likes to chalk things up to the CIA.
Well, okay.
It's an easy
The CIA...
I'm not saying it's wrong.
I mean,
the CIA did a lot of really messed up stuff.
Any covert intelligence, or any intelligence agency.
It wouldn't have to have been the CIA. It could have been the U.S. Army. Who cares? Like, who ran this operation?
Yeah, but I feel like the CIA does more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but
which is why stuff gets blamed on them.
If it's a joint force exercise and we got all the branches of the military there, who knows who signed off on the operation? It doesn't really matter. Did the Peruvian government also sign off on the operation? Who cares?
But then we do come back to
government get technology and
but
go
then
do it themselves.
It's also like, why? Why would we care?
Right.
So we ran an operation in the general region. I wasn't able to really track down like what the operation was for. I mean, they claimed it was like training and joint readiness and cool big things like that.
All used to steal Maduro.
Yeah, maybe that.
They're just practicing.
Like the sort of presumption is that they're just trying to maintain the secrecy of whatever they're doing. Which, okay.
You're saying that was the motive for doing this face peeling?
Yeah, just keep people away. Like, strange things are going on in the jungle. Don't worry about it. It's just the face peelers running around that you really don't want to get involved with whatever's happening in the jungle.
Right.
I don't really know that that's very convincing, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's enough that doesn't line up for it to be a cartel as far as like the hoverboards and things that either didn't happen, that part isn't true, or it had to be somebody like the U.S. military, because I'm still not sold that the cartels would have that technology.
No,
unless it was a Peruvian government
that.
and they got it from the U.S. military.
Well, also I think
or a cartel that was working with the U.S. But I don't think people just go steal these hovercraft that we don't even know exist from Area 51 or from wherever they're being developed.
Yeah.
Lockheed Martin or someone. I mean, I don't care. You tell me who develops the tech, and just give them to cartels down in Peru. That sounds like a stretch.
Yeah.
You'd probably see them running drugs through the U.S. border.
Yeah, you think there'd be more useful operations for that.
And so I'm saying that's a stretch, and so I don't know, but never underestimate people's ability to blow stories up, especially when it's very superstitious tribes in uncontacted regions of the world, or less contacted. I mean, these are obviously contacted. You said they have footage.
Yeah,
like apparently
they
people have phones.
They have
so
phones.
they're relatively. They know decent.
But it's just that they don't really have night vision. They don't really have like.
Yeah, I mean, like do you have night vision?
No,
I don't see any
we're
night
broke.
vision.
Please, someone sponsor us so we can get night
Yes.
vision.
Let's get that 7K.
Yeah.
For checking for skinwalkers.
Yes, they infiltrate our studio many times.
But whether or not the story gets blown out of hand, the fact is people are getting their faces stripped off.
Right. But I'm saying the probability, I mean, if you're trying to narrow down a culprit, you got to decide what you think actually happened.
Well, I think
do we really think it was these 7-foot alien beings, or was it just tall white guys wearing body armor and helmets with night vision?
No, okay, so the tall part is not that much of a stretch, right? Like,
yeah, but 6 versus 7 feet, like
if
at
you're
night when you're big and spooky and wearing body armor.
The 7-foot tall detail is not something I would
get hung up on. The whole hovercraft thing.
The hovercraft thing is clearly advanced technology, a quiet, a silent, like.
And we technically could sort of ignore that fact. We could say.
We could just strip it back to, people are getting their faces peeled off.
Yeah,
and that's still a problem.
And that's documented.
Yes.
And so that's kind of the crux. Like, that's the scary part. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't really know where to go with this conversation next, honestly.
So So are we going to Peru? Or
Let's do it.
Where's the goal here?
Well, I should check in to see if I could nail down where the last encounters have been made. Like, because they nailed down like where the footage of the alien on the shed roof was. Like, they nailed down. They went different spots. Nailed down some stuff. Talked to the chief who claims to have shot him twice. Like, Timothy sort of went down there and nailed some of that stuff down.
How unlikely what is it? I mean, how convenient that it was the chief who shot them twice.
Well,
Because
that's
of
true.
course he would.
I will say that Timothy's ex-Marine buddy, he was giving the locals some training on like, okay, here's a more efficient way to patrol. If you're going to patrol around your village all night, here's what you do when you have contact. Here's some radios so you don't all just be
Shoot
random
each other.
spots. Yes, he had to train them on how
Friendly
not to
fire.
shoot each other because he said all week he was just like looking down shotgun barrels and that was not making him very happy.
Yeah.
He said he did mention that I will just point out that he called out by name one of the guys, I don't know his name was. He said that guy, he really should be the chief because he was the best at, getting the people to form up, getting them to do it. Having sectors, here's your sector, call out if you see something. So it wasn't just the chief who was singled out for, heroism. And I mean, obviously this one shaman claims to have had an encounter where he got like burned sort of electrically, he would almost claim, by the being.
Hot stuff is hot and burning stuff.
Well, the guy sort of like shot the fire / lightning at him.
Okay. Potentially a laser or a...
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, if we're trying to say this isn't supernatural.
Who knows?
But-
Also, he was doing some ritual, so I'm like, bro, you sure you know the right ritual to do? Like, a guy shows up and burns you. That may have not been a good ritual to repeat.
So I think we've covered most of this, but like sightings as recent as August of 2025.
Supposedly. I wasn't able to nail
That's
down where.
fascinating. And what I'd like to look into, and we can maybe do a follow-up episode if I find enough content, but what religion are these people practicing?
It's some sort of nativist religion is from what I got of it.
The
Okay.
locals here
The
or
locals.
the religion
And
of the...
are there any other cultures that have stories of face peelers or any stories of beings removing the skin from a human face?
I don't know. We have to look into that and see if we can find all that.
That would be good to know.
Should we wrap up this episode here, or do you want to dive into, how you would go about being that alien? Like, what if it's just some weird pranksters who are just two guys running around the jungle? Like, but I don't know why you'd hang out. I don't know why you'd hang out in the
I
jungle.
feel like
all
it'd
the
be
time.
I don't know, man.
Or like, you could dive into Timothy. He's an interesting figure.
We could do a little more research on him.
Well,
I mean, is
he's
he
considered
trustworthy?
he's moderately trustworthy. Like I
Well,
like him
okay.
on this
It's
topic because
fascinating.
he was
spent
there.
most of his life in Peru.
He spent, I wouldn't say most. He's only.
Well, he was raised in
He's
Peru,
only
wasn't he?
30 something. No, well, he went there when he was 18. He started hanging out
Oh,
with
okay,
these dudes
that's
when
the
he was
story.
18.
Okay, yeah.
So he ran off home and he was there for multiple years. I'm not sure what portion of his life. He's not entirely trustworthy, I would say, on the fact that like he's not an archaeologist. He hasn't been like trained because he does a lot of like archaeological stuff, and it's like, okay, do you actually know what you're talking about? In this scenario, he does because he hangs out with these dudes. He can speak their dialect and they respect him. He drinks their weird local fermented drink they make.
Name one group of people who doesn't have that.
Yeah, but these guys are really weird because they have their dugout canoes, and then they take this something root or something. I can't remember. It was some type of organic matter, and they chew it up, spit it into the canoe, beat up the thing into like a pulp. Make this fruit to like a pulp then, and then they ferment that with water. So it's the wildest local alcoholic beverage. I don't think your local IPA is going to be that.
I mean, it sounds like prison beer or something.
So no, I would say he's an interesting figure. You could cast doubt on some of his archaeological work. I think in this particular occasion he was there. A lot of it's filmed. He was with multiple other people. He was collecting testimonies. If you can speak Spanish, you could listen to the people live and figure out if he's actually translating correctly. I can't do that, but I think he's as good as a resource as you're going to get on this particular subject.
My gripe with these is it's so hard to prove anything. Okay, but besides there's some sketchy
Dude,
stuff.
people are
going
showing
on.
up without their faces. Like,
You should link some footage or something.
I mean,
Or not,
if
or
we had
just
this
let
much
people find it
proof, if
themselves.
we had this much proof, of anything, it's enough to convict someone and send them to prison. if we had 60 eyewitness accounts of a murder, or if we had, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but
I think we underestimate.
We still can't send people to prison or what.
Well, fair enough. I'm just saying. I think we underestimate eyewitness accounts. Like this, yeah.
You think we underestimate eyewitness accounts? I'd almost say
my problem is eyewitness accounts are hugely unreliable. When they get into investigation, you will have people who say it was 100% this way. I remember so clearly, and then the next person will say it was 100% this way.
There's different
vehicle colors or what happened or how many times gunshots were fired, whatever. I don't know. I don't trust, especially of underdeveloped tribes. I don't trust their witnesses nearly as much.
Multiple people with the same story is compelling evidence, and
yes,
that's apparently what we have here.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not saying this didn't happen. I'm saying I question the extraterrestrial, extra-human, jumping over roofs and flying off on a hovercraft. That's what doesn't make sense to me. And it's just really hard to figure out what's going on.
Okay, wait. The only part of the story...
You're gonna cut all this.
No.
Yeah. I'm saying the only part of the story that really matters is that people are getting their faces peeled. And we have evidence of that. Whether the hoverboards were, whatever, a jetpack or whatever, and they just didn't hear it or however that works. Yeah, okay, debate that. But...
Yeah, or a helicopter. Not likely.
I don't think anyone's
confusing know what helicopters are.
Jumping on a hoverboard. They're going to say, they got into a big bird and flew off. If they're underdeveloped or whatever.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Also, we know very little about
if you
culture.
get into the African cultures and religions, the kind of crazy stuff they talk about is I'm not saying none of it's real, but it's either satanic or it's not real.
Yeah, bingo. Satanic.
People are just super, super easy to deceive sometimes.
That's true.
There's documentation that people would... The fighter pilots would go take their airplanes and fly... What airplane was it? They'd fly really low over a town and then hit full afterburner and go straight up, and they'd always get UFO sighting reports in that area the next day or whatever.
Where was this?
This was near a military base or something.
But, it sounds
I think I read about this. It was American fighter pilots in the U.S. or something. They'd go out, and when they're doing a mission, then sometimes they just go troll people.
But this was in the U.S.
This was in the U.S.
Yeah.
And but it's at night, and it's with a fighter, and they just launch them straight up or whatever. I don't know. I thought I read that somewhere.
I never read
it.
It sounds like something I would do.
Right, exactly. I'm saying people are really bad at I saw this. Okay, well, did you actually?
Well, what if they did? What I'm saying is they saw, say, 2 points of light going straight up in the air. They're just too gullible. They're just their first thought is UFO. Well, that's stupid. There's probably an easier explanation. Yeah. So the problem is not they saw something that they didn't see. The problem is they're misinterpreting something that they didn't see. Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. How hard is it to misinterpret a Marine in body?
How hard is it to misinterpret
a cartel member? I'm not swollen the U.S. military doing this, but maybe it was the CIA. The CIA is known for doing some really wicked stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly, this sounds like an occult tribe.
This sounds like
either the elites or an occult tribe or something, like an enemy tribe doing this. Or something.
Yes, it's true
that
there could be some occult explanation for this. But what kind of cult's hanging out in the middle of the Peruvian jungle? There's nothing great about that. You know how many bugs and insects there are? I ain't hanging out in the Peruvian jungle for nothing.
Sure.
Unless
how about all the Nazis we sent to Argentina?
But they weren't jungles there. They went to the cities.
I don't know. And Antarctica.
We didn't send any Nazis to Antarctica.
The Nazis went there without our help. Hey, how about
we already covered
how
that.
about the tunnels that go under the U.S. and all the world the elites use? Here's
what I'm saying.
When you start getting into, I'm very slow to believe any specific conspiracy theory because when you start getting into them, there's a billion.
Okay, that's a wild thing to say right after the Epstein files get released.
It's hard to get into any. No, I'm very slow to just take them without proper research.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm slow to take the official narrative without proper research.
Both. All of
both is good. Both is good.
But now that we prove Pizzagate,
exactly.
What are we supposed to?
I just feel like
we also proved people troll Pizzagate or what?
Well, okay, yeah, we also proved that.
Everyone's like, "Oh, you trust some random YouTuber or podcaster over this government institution?" I'm like, Yes, actually I do.
Yeah.
I mean,
obviously
there's different levels of
The
trust.
same people who are saying blah, blah, blah about the CIA and stuff are the same ones who say the Earth is flat and
Not necessarily.
that there's reptilians
Not
running
necessarily.
it. And I'm saying a lot of them are, though.
Okay.
A lot of them, when you start getting down these rabbit holes,
but I'm saying,
are into all the conspiracy theories. And what I'm saying is I don't believe them all. It just doesn't make sense.
No,
I don't think the world's
believing
flat.
And,
I don't think
because
this, that, and other thing. So I'm saying I can't trust anything they say without proper research because you can't trust everything they say. Same as the government.
Okay,
because it's run by some Molech worshipping pedophiles, you can't trust anything it says without doing your own research.
Yes. But that doesn't mean that everything they say is a lie.
Right.
And
I'm
saying that
so I'm saying that's why I don't believe
you can believe in a lot of the bad stuff the CIA has done. It's very obvious they've declassified files and memos and stuff.
Right.
We know, like, most of this stuff is provable or relatively provable, and so like you can take that and be like, yes, they've done this and this. I still think the Earth is round or whatever. Like,
yeah,
you don't.
No, I agree.
You don't. It's not
I
all
agree,
or nothing.
but I'm
it's
saying
not all or nothing.
Exactly. But when you start getting the conspiracy theories, I'm just very slow to believe them because without a lot of good evidence. Because we have, 2 people here who documented this, plus the villagers? Did the villagers upload themselves, or is it just these 2 people coming back?
It was the villagers uploading it.
Okay, so the villagers were also documenting. So you just have to watch stuff. Like, people just get all tweaky.
All I'm saying is that the whole thing of, conspiracy theory, that's pointless in this argument.
Yes, I agree.
There is not really an argument. There's a conspiracy going on. The argument is that someone's taking someone's faces off out in the jungle, and somehow we should
That's not an argument.
That's
an argument. That's not an argument. That's an agreement because it's obvious it happened.
I'm just like this whole Yes, obviously
the
not
Epstein
every
files
conspiracy
exist,
theory is true. But I'm saying this is a wild take after the Epstein files are released and prove everything that these schizos have been saying, and we're like, oh, you're a schizo. Well, now here come the Epstein files.
I'm not sure that they prove everything. I will barely watch people talking about them because I'm like, okay, half the people just take it way too far. They're the same ones who believes that Antarctica is the edge of the Earth and that the Nazis set up bases down there and you can't.
The Nazis had bases in Antarctica.
And that they lived there and
Nazis
did all
literally
this
had
stuff.
bases. Right, Pat?
Yeah, we went over that in another episode.
Did they?
Yeah, they attempted to establish one because they were going to go try to take out the.
So there's theories.
There's
British
footage
whaling operations.
There's footage about whaling operations, and then they say, oh, these were Nazi bases. No, that was the whale place, the whale harpoon.
So there's conspiracies that arise because we don't know things. And there's conspiracies that arise just because we're being schizo.
Can we wrap this and finish the argument?
Right, flat Earth.
Can we wrap this?
Wait, he's making a philosophical point that I think
hold on. We gotta stop the camera before it's 20 terabytes worth of data.
There's conspiracy theories that arrive because there's secrets, and that's things like, oh, what are the Freemasons doing? What are the elites doing? What are they doing on Epstein Island? We can make conspiracy theories. We can look at some of the stuff we know and make conspiracy theories. There's other conspiracy theories that are, let's just disagree with the narrative, the current, let's disagree with the status quo or whatever. This is what everyone believes, so let's not believe it because that makes us different. That's things like flat Earth. That's things like whatever. That's there's two different categories. All right, guys, that is our look at this terrifying story of the face peelers of Peru. I would love to do some more research on that. Maybe we'll do a follow-up episode. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And please leave a comment. I'm not going to ask you to subscribe or like because we've been super unfaithful in dropping content for you. So it's unfair to ask that of you. But please listen. Just give us 30 minutes of your time and leave a comment. That would mean the world to us.
Yes, and as always, be careful out there.